Hi, I'm Dave Ward, and I'm the Dean of Theology and Interdisciplinary Studies. And one of the areas I lead is the School of Theology and Ministry. We're standing here today in what we call the Bistro Lab, and appreciate it if you would call it the Bistro Lab, not the fishbowl or not the most distracting classroom on campus or any of those things. This is one of the most innovative spaces that we have. Here's what's exciting about it. Every classroom has its strengths and weaknesses, but this classroom is designed, as you can see, to be very collaborative, hands-on work in teams and projects. So most employers are telling us through surveys that what they want most in their new employees, and particularly in ministry leadership environments, is people who know how to work with and lead teams. So many of our classes work on projects, they work in group work, and they do so around tables like this. The entire pedagogy of this room is surrounding group activity. You can write with markers on the glass, you have screens that you can project things up on, TV screens. It's a unique component of this classroom. It's just a wonderful, unique environment that's supposed to be high energy. It's not a lecture-driven class. So that's a unique thing in this space. This space is what we call the youth lab. So it was designed to be a sort of black box environment where you could creatively envision how youth ministry could look. Of course, we have what we call these Lincoln Logs, building blocks behind me that you see the silver framing. This is part of how we build youth ministry space to be a contemporary environment. And Lincoln Logs are an exact ratio to what these are. So we can use a Lincoln Log set to help plan a space that uses this kind of structural framing, screens, lights, etc. This board is a crucial component of that. What we do is create a to-scale architectural design. This is not one of those, it's just my rough drawing. But what we can do is when it's to scale, we've drawn it together as a team and worked together how we want to redesign a space. We flip it up so that it now becomes a 3D design environment on which we place those Lincoln Logs and other to-scale pieces so that our students, when they leave here in their youth ministry program or Christian ministries program, know how to redesign a ministry space to scale, and then they actually go to a local church and they do the redesigned work. They paint, they build, and so we call it Monster Church. A local church benefits from that, and they come out with a completely redesigned ministry space that our students redesigned and now know how to do. Let me talk to you about the division of practical theology in connection with that. Our two largest programs are Christian ministries and youth ministries. Both of those are ordination track majors, so people who want to be ordained by the church. Most denominations' ordination requirements are met by Christian ministries and youth ministries within the undergraduate program, most of the denominations that we serve. So both of those are large majors so that they can reach those ordination requirements, but it's very hands-on and practical work. We get you into local churches and we get you involved. There's also Christian Ed and children's ministries. Those are our majors that focus on either Christian education in a Christian school environment, that's Christian Ed, or children's ministry in a local church environment, that's children's ministry or parachurch environment. Global Ministries is one of our newer and unique programs that's focused on the person who wants to serve in intercultural, cross-cultural environments. It has some of the old missionary feel. In other words, if you felt called into missions, Global Ministries might be for you, but it's also helping to train those people who want to serve cross-culturally in global environments, not in traditional missions roles. So that's one you might want to know about. International Community Development is a major that focuses on reducing poverty around the world. 1 out of 3 people in the world, 1 out of 3 of people all over the world live in severe poverty. They live on less than $2 a day, adjusted for buying power. So what that means is 1/3 of the world population is in extreme poverty, and Christians have a duty to do that, to deal with that. And so our International Community Development major does that. So those are some of the things you can talk about with the division of practical theology as you lead people through this building. The division of religious and ministerial studies is the area that houses 3 majors and all of our gen ed offerings in the School of Theology and Ministry. The 3 majors are biblical literature, which is for anyone who wants the Old and New Testament to come alive to them. So anybody can take that major, and it's designed to work very easily as a double major. Whether you are a business major who wants to have a robust understanding of Scripture and be a Sunday school teacher in life or an active lay leader, or you are a Christian ministries person who wants to strengthen your understanding of the Bible, perhaps get ready for master's work, or you are a sports management individual who wants to engage Scripture. It's designed for anybody, and it's a great double major. The second major is philosophy and theology, whether you want to do systematic theology or dogmatic theology or analytical philosophy or continental philosophy or some other kind. That major is designed to help you tailor-make your undergraduate program to prepare you for graduate work in philosophy or theology. We have a great graduate placement rate in philosophy and theology. The third is intercultural studies. Intercultural studies is designed for anybody who wants to work in a cross-cultural environment and wants to think about how to serve in a cross-cultural environment from a Christian perspective. So you might want to work on international policy, but you want to think about how to do that from a Christian perspective, and sociology and theology and philosophy and intercultural studies are going to feed into that. Or you might want to go serve overseas, perhaps for the church, or perhaps through some other sending agency, or maybe you want to double major in TESOL and teach English as a second language overseas. All of those work really well with intercultural studies, and again, that's a major that also works well as a double major. We encourage everyone who majors in intercultural studies to double major in something else. Also offer the Gen Ed package that's theology and ministry oriented, so that's Old Testament, New Testament intros, as well as theology of Christian life and philosophy 180. So those form the philosophy, theology, and Bible core that goes into the central part of the general education package. Why do we do that? We want every single person who comes to a Christian university to leave not just educated in their field, but educated as Christians. We want to help you answer the tough life questions that you're going to face in your 20s, 30s, 40s, before you hit a life crisis. We want to prepare you to read Scripture the rest of your life, and we want to help you form a Christian way of life. That's why we think we're a Christian university. It's part of why we're here. Finally, the current ministry program is one of the most unique and cutting-edge ministry programs in the country. There's only one other school that's really doing this at a high successful level, and that school and us have both received very large grants from the Kern Family Foundation. That generous grant has made it possible for us to help pastors who feel called to being lead pastors, preaching pastors, executive pastors, finish their undergraduate degree in 3 years, saving them about $10,000, $11,000, and their master's program in 2 years, so they get their 2 degrees, undergraduate and master's, in 5 years. It's actually 4.8 years, and they get it cheaper than they would have received just the single undergraduate degree. So they get it done faster, and they get more education, and it's cheaper. They get $3,000 scholarship all through undergraduate, and then $8,000 or $9,000 scholarship in master's programming. It's an incredible program. You get mentored every week by an expert ministry coach, and we place you at the end in a residency pastorate where you finish your master's work while doing ministry, so that you're integrating theory and practice in a local church setting. Many of those local church settings go on to hire their resident pastors as full-time pastors the following year. So it's a launching program that makes you more hireable. It launches you with less debt and gives you the second degree before you're even 25. So that's the Division of Religious and Ministerial Studies. That's our general education package, and that's the current ministry program.